Down, down, down. Banana down, down, down. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the channel. It is your boy, The Geek Takeover, coming at you with another raw reaction. And you know what, guys? It's Wednesday morning, but we got our fucking cartoons back. It's X-Men 97 Season 2 day, ladies and gentlemen. And you know, we had our first 3 episodes drop today. And I think I'm going to try and do this a little differently than I would normally do. So I'm going to watch episode by episode. I'm going to film my raw reaction, and then I'm going to watch the next one. And I'm going to have predictions kind of throughout to see if I was right or not. So in this part of the video, we are going to be reviewing episode 1, Days of Past Future. So a couple of my reactions to this is, honestly, right off the bat, Forge and Bishop, they immediately time jump, and they immediately find, well, at least Forge immediately finds his group of X-Men when he travels to the future. I kind of wish it at least would have taken a little bit of time to find them. It kind of felt like it was a little too easy. I'm also not a big fan of the whole like Wolverine bandana over his head, because I don't know, to me, especially when I saw the pop figure, I genuinely thought it was Batman. So I don't know, I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of Storm and Forge, just like I was never a fan of Storm and Wolverine. Maybe it's because I can only picture her with T'Challa, just like I never liked T'Challa and Nakia. I only could picture those two together, and that's probably exactly why I just don't like it. And I don't know, Forge is kind of like a boring character. Nothing's wowed me about him yet in this entire series. And then, like I said, Forge reunites with Storm, Morph, Wolverine, Jean, and Scott, and Nathan, young Nathan, and Mother Ascani. And they take him to the Ascani camp. He tells them, Scott and Jean ask for at least one day so they can say goodbye. Ultimately, that one day does not happen because Scott and Jean kidnap Nathan because they want to raise him. They see him like this and they don't want him to, they feel bad basically, and they also maybe they don't want to raise him to be Cable. But is it really kidnapping if they're his parents? I don't know, I'm just throwing that out there. Oh, and in this future when Apocalypse is healing and we see, I think his name is, the sand guy is Osmo something, I'll have to look up his name. But when he pulls up to tell Apocalypse about the vessel, aka Nathan, we see the futuristic Four Horsemen. They look fucking terrible. You have Drummer Boy, lame as fuck. You have Rip-Off Aladdin. Okay. Then you have the girl with the umbrella. She was kind of cool. And then you have basically a Cole Obsidian knockoff. These are your Four Horsemen, Apocalypse? Really? They're fucking terrible. But going back to the camp, Mother Ascani tells Storm that she is the reason why the X-Men were time traveled. She's from another Earth, apparently, which is much worse than any futures that these X-Men have. But she tells Storm that she picked them out of the end of the season 1 finale because they were destined to die. She sent half of them to the past to deal with Insaba Shore. I know I'm saying that wrong, but the Apocalypse of the past, to try and prevent him becoming Apocalypse, and then the other half to the future to stop Apocalypse in the now. So I didn't know that she was that strong. I didn't know what her powers were. All I know is that she was in Marvel Snap. She's kind of badass. She's kind of strong if she could do that. Speaking of strong, Storm, girl, you just handled the fire from the sun. And this show is on a generational run to bring Storm, Cyclops, and Jean the recognition and flowers that they deserve. Because, man, these three are kicking ass, taking names, and showing why the X-Men are not just Wolverine, ladies and gentlemen. And then at the end, Apocalypse dips, goes to the 90s to eliminate what's left of the X-Men. And then the episode ends with Cable telling Psylocke and Archangel that they need to recruit for their team, which is Jubilee and Sunspot. Episode ends. Now, prediction time. I think the team in the future, they're going to probably spend a little bit more time with Nathan, maybe deal with whatever remnants of Apocalypse is there. I think the team in the past is going to do a lot of good and honest work to turn in. I'm going to call them in for now. They're going to slowly change him to be like a good guy, but then I think somebody like Magneto or Charles or Rogue maybe will slip up, and then he'll immediately turn into Apocalypse. I think that's inevitable. Ooh, or maybe Apocalypse goes to the past and they fight each other. Could see that. And then as far as for the present day team, I think if future Apocalypse doesn't end up going to the past and he stays in the 90s, I think then the X-Force team is going to end up fighting him and his Horsemen, which obviously we all know Gambit's going to be a part of them. So that's where I'm thinking how these next couple of episodes are going to go. But I'm going to go watch episode 2 right now, and you guys will find out if any of this was right or if I was far wrong. So, alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we just wrapped up episode 2, A Force to Be Reckoned With. I have thoughts about this episode. We go back to the present. We start off this episode with a group of kids running to the X Mansion. I know one of them was Kid Omega. I don't know the rest. But they get stopped by a government-led team of mutants led by Havoc. And the first thing they tell these kids is, we are totally not the bad guys. Now, language warning. Just to let you know. Really, nigga. You expect us to believe you're not the bad guys when you're working for the government as mutants in the 90s, and the first thing you tell these kids is we're not the bad guys. Brother. Anyways, then we fast forward. Cable recruits Sunspot and Jubilee. They go tracking War. That's his name, is War. The Horseman in Rio de Janeiro. They find him. They track him down. And they beat him really easily. Like, it was boom, bam, tied up. I was so confident. I was like, did they go after the wrong guy? Like, is this not War? No, he really was. And then when they're interrogating him, Psylocke uses her powers. We see War bring Apocalypse a casket. And let's be honest, let's keep it a buck. We know that's Gambit. From probably the best episode of the entire show from last season, Gambit's coming back. It's just a matter of when. Probably when Rogue comes to the present, if I had to take a guess. Anyways, and then after that, I stood corrected. War was extremely easy to defeat because Archangel kills him. Like that. What the hell? Then they go to Emma Frost. She betrays them, takes them to Sweden. They get jumped by the X-Factor team, the government team. Jubilee gets taken prisoner, and they go to like a helicarrier? Am I seeing that right? Was that a helicarrier? It must. Anyways, and you know what? I fucking called it. These guys are not the good guys because they have a prison full of fucking mutants, and they're little kids. But thankfully, Polaris, she breaks Jubilee out and is like, whatever you do, I ain't see it. So we have a pretty cool prison breakout scene. Jubilee shows that she's more than just fireworks. She's kind of cool. She's an okay character. I'm still not a Jubilee fan, but you know what? It was pretty cool. She frees the kids, and they escape. And then pretty much the episode ends where we go back to the future, where the last episode ended, and Cable gets his robotic arm, Bucky-looking shit, and the computer tells him to send the X-Men back so they can fight Apocalypse, blah, 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 blah. But they get sent back so early. Like, I thought that was going to be the whole premise of the season, was trying to get them back to their current time. but I guess it's that easy. So now I'm wondering about the X-Men in the past. Are we just going to see them in the past for like 2 episodes, and then we're back in the present? So I guess I'm going to go ahead and start the 3rd and final episode, and we'll find out, is any of this right? Am I on the right track so far? Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we just wrapped up episode 3 of X-Men 97 Season 2, Rise of Apocalypse, part numero uno. So let's kind of talk about a couple things that I thought about while watching this episode. So, it starts off with Forge and the X-Men from the future back in the 90s. Forge starts off by saying Bishop and the others should be here. They're not here, and I'm worried or whatever. And at first I was like, dude, it's time travel. You guys could have got here and they could still be on their way, But then he said that their time bands are showing offline, so kind of a red flag. Cyclops mentioned maybe we should go after them. Forge tells him, no, we can't take that chance of messing up with the past and whatnot, blah, 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 blah. Speaking of the past, let's go join them. We see Magneto mentoring In Sabanur. I know I'm pronouncing that wrong, so I'm just going to call him In for just the remainder of the series. He's mentoring him, showing him right from wrong, which on paper probably is not a good thing because it's Magneto and Apocalypse. But it's a redeemed Magneto, so it is a very good thing. Magneto's trying to teach him about mercy and being good. Charles is kind of on the fence about it. He's like, I don't know about this. This is a really bad idea. But Magneto wants to do this because, as we find out later in the episode, he wants to nurture and groom. I know that's a weird way to put it, but he wants to teach In to be technically humanity's first X-Men, to have the ideals of Charles and Magneto, where men and mutants can live together in harmony. Nice idea. But we'll get back to that later. So after we see him mentoring In, we see that they're this giant citadel, basically, city, whatever you want to call it. And son of a bitch, if the rumors weren't true, Rama Tut, the Kang variant, is there, doing his whatever, and that's the opposing threat to In. They're Kang versus Apocalypse, basically, is what's happening right now. Can't believe it, they actually did it. Let's see, we have In leading his people. They capture one of Ramatut's leading men. I think his name was Labo, something like that. They capture him. In's right-hand man, I wrote out his name, where is that? Baba? Or something along those lines. He tells In, kill him, because that's what they need to do. Versus Magneto telling him, show mercy, take a prisoner, let's figure out what he knows, blah, 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 blah. I could sense a little bit of tension between Magneto and Baba, and I was thinking when I was seeing this that, they're going to fight, and the outcome of that fight is going to heavily influence In's decision on whether he's going to be merciful or merciless. And I was wrong with that, because eventually we find out where, I'm getting ahead of myself. So during the interrogation with Baba, not Magneto, Charles decides to finally use his powers because he's seeing what Magneto is saying and thinking, and he goes into Baba's mind, sees some kind of underground temple, hear a voice. The voice is saying something along the lines of, he is where the end begins. We see what looks like maybe an Onslaught tease. Now, this could be a tease for Apocalypse. It could be a tease for Onslaught. Maybe that's who he is. I don't know. I mean, the easy answer is it's probably just Apocalypse. Like some ultimate end-all form of Apocalypse. But I don't know who else it could be. Let me know down in the comments what you guys may think. And then the episode eventually ends where the X-Men go to their secret base that they have, and In and his people and Baba, they're in there, they're investigating, they're like, basically saying that we caught you, this is treason, and In flips out, kills Baba, starts attacking the X-Men, doesn't give them a chance to explain. Bishop shows up, starts to save the day, gives everybody their time bracelets and says, let's dip before it's too late. In wakes up, they're about to fight each other, but Rama-Tut puts some kind of tracking device, I guess, in Baba and sent some kind of destructo beam, whatever, into their home base. Episode ends. Now, obviously, that's where it's going to get us to Rise of Apocalypse Part 2. I really don't know where this is really going to get us. I'm imagining we're going to see In versus Kang versus the X-Men. The X-Men maybe will finally leave the past. In may follow them and join up with the future Apocalypse. That would be kind of cool. What else can I see? I could see, when we're in the present day, we're going to have the X Factor versus the X-Men or X-Men / X-Force. That'll be kind of cool to see how they're going to correlate and not compete, but fight each other, especially with the fact that Havoc, Cyclops, and Cable are basically the leaders on all three teams. So seeing those three kind of interact and potentially fight each other is going to be really interesting. I don't know if Cable knows that Havoc is his brother. I think he should, but maybe he doesn't. So that'll be interesting. Those are just a couple of things, though, that I'm expecting in these upcoming episodes. Let me know what you guys may think is going to happen by the end of the series. Let me know what you guys think about the first 3 episodes. I guess if I had to, episode 1 on my geek scale, I'm going to give a 4 out of 5. I really liked it. I just wish the future wasn't resolved so quickly. Episode 2, I didn't really like as much, so it was just okay. I'm going to put it in the middle of the pack. Episode 2 is a 3 out of 5. And then episode 3, honestly, is probably my favorite. It's not a 5 out of 5. It's not a 4.5. I'm going to put it like in the middle, and I'm going to say 4.3 out of 5. I enjoyed it a lot. So let me know what you guys think of all this in the comments, and I guess I will catch you guys next week for episode 4. And until then, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe with your friends for more content. Until next time, this has been Geeky Takeover.